Tēnā koutou katoa, welcome to your Friday Live. What's happening in the office today? Not much right now. I'm winding down, I guess, for the weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'll be in the Wairarapa for an evening event. Come grab a glass of wine, some nibbles. We're talking about the Superwoman Survival Guide, so looking forward to being in the Wairarapa for the weekend. Yesterday I was delivering an Imposter Syndrome webinar for the HR Institute of New Zealand, so great to connect with people on that, and it's got me thinking about Imposter Syndrome, particularly Imposter Syndrome in the HR world and when we're applying for jobs, because that can be one of the places it rears its head. And I guess in a post-COVID world and in a world where our economy is going to struggle for a while, then changing job and looking for new jobs becomes a prospect that many of us have to grapple with, and it can be something that exacerbates our imposter syndrome. So some of the things we talked about on the webinar yesterday was that imposter syndrome is common in our talented individuals. So in an organisation, ideally you want to promote from within, particularly if you're in HR. And quite often, if you've got talented individuals in your organisation that don't believe in their own ability, they're not going to apply for those promotions. Equally, when we're looking for new jobs, imposter syndrome will rear its head when we get out of our comfort zone. And when we look for new jobs, we tend to have this feeling, because it's the unknown, because we're unproven. Can I do this? Am I that person? Am I as good as they think I am? Am I capable of this role? And whenever you're looking for a new job and you get the position description through, there tends to be this, particularly for women, we want to tick as many boxes as possible. We feel like the more of the position description we can say, yes, we're experienced in, the better our chances of getting the job and the more comfortable we'll be in the job. And there's a lot of research behind this and statistics around gender, and that the gender difference is that men generally will back themselves and look at, maybe I can do half that job, I'll learn the other half, whereas women need a lot more certainty, and we tend to want to tick a lot more boxes to be sure before we apply. And of course the irony is that if we look at a position description and we can tick all of the boxes before we apply for the role, we're probably going to be bored within about 5 minutes, because it's not going to be a role that stretches us or challenges us. But the problem we have when we're going into a new job, particularly where imposter syndrome is concerned, is that there's a lot of unknown. No matter how good you are at your job, when you move to a different business, you've got a new team to get to know, potentially new systems, new ways of doing things. And so, of course, we can't always hit the ground running. There is this gap where we need to upskill, where we need to learn. And that gap is where the imposter tells us, you see, you're not as good as people think. I don't know if you can do this job. And that's why it's so important that we learn tools and strategies to help offset this voice. Because look, we can have been in our job for 5-10 years and know it inside out and not have heard this voice for some time. But as soon as you step outside of your comfort zone, look for new jobs, start in a new business, get a promotion, that's when it tends to rear its head. So it's something I've spent a lot of time doing. It features in my last 2 books, the strategies and tools that we can use to offset our imposter syndrome and build that confidence and close that gap. So if you weren't on the webinar this week, don't worry, there is another opportunity. So there's a couple of free webinars coming up that I want to talk to you about. So on Wednesday next week, I've got a free lunchtime webinar, Achieve Your Potential. And then at the end of this month, on the 31st of July, there's the Overcoming Imposter Syndrome webinar. So that's a snapshot of what is imposter syndrome, what can we do about it, a bit of an introduction, and then that will lead nicely into our new Imposter Syndrome online course. So we've got 4 weeks. It's a small group. We cut the maximum at 10, and we've got 4 weeks. Every Monday night we meet over Zoom, so you don't even have to leave the house, which, let's face it, at this time of year, what many of us are keen to do in the evenings. And we get together each week for an hour and we talk about not just imposter syndrome, but our own experiences. We have homework in between sessions so that we can apply what we're learning and actually learn as we go. So it's a real deep dive into not just what imposter syndrome is, but most importantly, what to do about it. So join me for those webinars. There are still spaces left on that online course, and the early bird ends on the 21st of July, which is next week. So get in quick. I'll pop the link in the comments if you would like to be part of that. Other things that are happening, so the In Her Words Summit continues for the rest of this month. The feedback's been fabulous. So one of the things I didn't realise when I was doing these interviews and recording these chats during lockdown, I was enjoying the chats. I thought these women were doing great work. I wanted to share it with the world. I hadn't realised the impact that a lot of these interviews were going to have. So it's been awesome receiving your feedback and knowing the things that have resonated for you, and to be able to share not just the stories of these women who are doing amazing things, but the work that they're doing as well. So the In Her Words Summit is going well. We're not even halfway through yet, so there's still plenty more interviews to go. If you have missed out on any interviews, then you can purchase the Summit Pass. They're on half price special all throughout July, and the profits go to the Aunties and the Wellington Homeless Women's Trust, who are our charities for this event. So $49 will get you access to every single interview to watch at your leisure. Otherwise, keep checking in each day, because there's a new one live each day for 24 hours. We'll be taking the weekend off for the In Her Words Summit, but we'll be back with more interviews on Monday. Or purchase the pass and binge watch over the weekend. It's totally up to you. So wherever you are in Aotearoa, I hope you're having a fabulous Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Ka kite ana.